a self-contained, isolated sculpture. It plays an explicit part in the continuity of the urban fabric and urban social life. The unassuming form of the building subtly highlights the market and the people up front, creating a vivid contrast of colors and texture. It doesn't derive away from what's really important, the people and the culture of the place. In fact, it uses this factor to drive people into the building. The building splits into two to allow a seamless transition between the two markets, integrating it into the building and in the process creating a street on its own. It isn't an alienated structure. It is meant to be played with, painted on, touched, and to be made a part of those who use it. Hi, my name is Aisha Eki, and this is my Semester 5 portfolio. In this portfolio, I explore the reciprocal relation between my building and the market in front of it. And what better to start this off than a quote by Alberti that inspired a huge part of this process. I shall be going through my 6 stages of design, and that starts with the site selection. Starting with the site selection, I'm going to start with the basics. My site is located in the heart of the commercial pocket of Jayanagar 4th Block in Bangalore. What attracted me to this site was the history behind it. The site originally hosted a 50-year-old commercial complex which was transformed into a dynamic public space by the people. It sprawled out onto the site and acted as a cultural hub that was supplemented by the masjid and the temple close by. It was razed down after a few sections of it caught fire around 10 years back, and the old building was replaced by a mall on another side of the complex, and this proved to be a disaster since it was a complete opposite of the original building. You can see it over here. This was the old building and this is the new building. This flat ground floor is actually the original building and this new modern building is the new building. My proposal is to actually create a new complex that allows a better transition from the old complex with a contemporary take on it. Being a commercial hub and inside a market, it speaks for itself when it comes to selling commercially. After my site selection, I did a literature case study on a village supermarket in Bangladesh called Chep Market and a complex in Japan called Yotsubako. The reason behind it was to understand these two ends of a stick. They are extremely important in the site, and I won't delve too deep into this, but understanding a market and understanding a complex was essential in my design. Coming to the site analysis, I've tried to look at it from both angles, the tangible and the intangible. The site is surrounded by luscious trees as old as the city itself. As I said before, my plot actually is nestled between hundreds of other tiny stores. I've tried to understand the old complex that existed there, that you can see over here. This was the old bazaar. And I've also tried to map out the entire plot and the market up front, though it was quite hard in this time because of the crowds. Getting to my concept. The initial part of my concept was derived from the thesis Architecture Microcosm, From City to Building by Kijin. I explored how the city is a network of spaces of which the building is a unit, giving it structural coherence to the city. Nodes are the more active areas within the building based on program or movement, and districts are differentiated areas for differentiated users. Being a child of both a complex and a market, I had to honor the most important requirement that was visual connection. I tried exploring various ways to do this. Also, bringing the essence of the market into my building was essential, and that's when I struck upon the term organized chaos, which I will be talking about later on. On the left are design elements that I obtained from analyzing the site. The building, as you can see, is split into two parts, and this was to prevent a split between the market on both sides, and it was to create a seamless transition from one end of the building to another. The culture and the people are to be highlighted in this building, and the building subtly highlights the market with the contrast of the facade with the front market. I've noted down the keywords that have led my design process over here. Now, coming to the creme de la creme, the design process. Coming to my ground floor plan. I do have a basement which will be shown in detail later. As you can see, the building is in two blocks. The two blocks can be accessed from the central space or from the sides. To make it accessible to the specially abled, ramps are provided on both sides. A statement spiral staircase makes the space more dynamic and leads to the second floor. The market is in two parts, an open market and a semi-open market. The semi-open market is color-coded so that users can identify what they require from a distance. And there are two types of vending stalls in the market. A series of levels create a podium for multiple hawkers, and then there are the standing hawkers over here. In the second floor, a bridge connects the two blocks and overlooks the street below. Certain parts of this facade are arched with wood louvers for protection, while other sections have jali walls. This eradicates the need for any additional air conditioning, and the jali bricks are actually made of mud concrete bricks. So there's a special reason behind this. The mud is actually obtained from the basement, and parts of the debris of the old building can be used as coarse material in this concrete. The soil in this region is sufficiently strong and requires just an addition of 20% clay, and it does require more labor than any other material, but if you look at the flow of money that happens, it is towards the working class and the skilled labor of this market rather than any imported materials being brought in. The facade also makes way for niches of planters over here that imitate the seating in the ground floor. This makes up for the loss of vegetation on the ground and brings much needed greenery to this dry area. Large brands are discouraged in this building, but I have put a popular brand such as Max over here. What this does is it encourages a different demographic to join this community. The second floor also has a small grocery store and a clothes store, and it leads to and you walk through these kiosks to go to the other block. The second floor gives way to an exhibition, a bookstore, and a cafe or bakery. This is the bookstore, this is the exhibition, and this is the bakery. Now what this does is it creates this relaxing space over here. So just imagine walking through this place. You can grab a book over here and grab a coffee, probably walk to the exhibition, have a seat on this balcony. It creates a really relaxing space. As I said before, my building has a lot of louvers and jalis, but you can see that over here in my exhibition, there is no jali or any opening. This is because any openings for sunlight or wind can prove to be corrosive for the artwork that is displayed over here. Coming to my last floor, this is a food court. So the entire space is a food court, and it has a semi-open food court over here. and an open food court over here that shows up to the sky. And this place has a fast food store over here and two small kiosks that open into the corridor and uses the arches as an opening space. And this is the semi-open food court that you can see over here. So the reason behind me using a lot of these arches are because, as I observed in my site analysis, the the buildings around this site have a lot of vaulted halls called kadambas. So these are traditionally, in a traditional Karnataka architecture, you find a lot of kadambas. So what I was trying to do was make a contemporary take on it, and that's why I created the arches over here. And this basement has space for hydraulic parking, and the trees act as percolation pits over here, and they have pipes leading to the rainwater water harvesting. And every part of the building, as you can see from can be seen from inside. It creates like this tunnel effect, and every part of the building can be seen from using the arches. And the you can see over here there are these cantilevered parts over here. So it create these kind of imitate harem windows, and they create the old Indian charm of a street where you had overlooking balconies and very tightly packed streets. And that was actually what I tried to put in over here. And there is ample visual connection between each and every part of this building with the other building. With this, I actually end my design process. It was rushed through, but I have tried to explain it as much as possible in this portfolio. And yeah, thank you for listening to this, and take care.